It's almost time, Fresh Bake. Feels like Disneyland is getting ready to pop this summer. Join us as we take a full tour around the park to see if things are starting to warm up. This is our State of Disneyland report. You know, there are times when I come to Disneyland and I feel like the only thing that can cure whatever it is that is ailing me is the Dapper Dans. Hearing the Dapper Dans here at Town Square definitely is a cure. you never really expect it. You never just see it coming. But then when you're done hearing them do a set, you're like, now I feel better. Now I feel better. This, you guys, is our State of Disneyland report. In fact, I'm not going to waste any more time up here at the Disneyland Railroad Station here on the top of Town Square. We're going to take this show down to Main Street and do a little vibe check and catch a little more of those Dapper Dans. Raise your hand if you're starting to smile already. This is one of my favorite songs they do also. Man, nothing quite like Main Street Disneyland, am I right? Vibe is big here. Guys, you guys, this is nice. I was kind of concerned about how this day was going to go. Obviously, we're just getting started, but this is a pretty decent crowd I'm feeling right here on Main Street. I was expecting maybe something a little closer to what we saw at DCA last week. But the folks have showed up. It is approximately 1:32 in the afternoon on a Friday as I record this. Standard time for a Fresh Baked State of Disneyland report. I wonder if some of that has to do with the fact that it is just a gorgeous day out here today. Almost near perfect. Not too hot, not too cold. Not cold at all, actually, but we're looking at a nice, pleasant 75 degrees right now. Light breeze, no clouds. Just ideal conditions. This is what June is, you guys, by the way. You get a lot of this in June. People are thinking it's going to be super duper hot, but it's actually one of the more pleasurable months to be here in terms of just the perfect amount of weather. Next month, a little hotter, mid-80s. This is a delight. So things are off to a very nice start here on the State of Disneyland report in the early parts of June. Let's see how things are doing with the reservation calendar. Let's go check out accessibility, single day tickets, and the Magic Key calendar. We'll start with the single day ticket calendar, single and multi-day ticket calendar, and let me preface this by saying that we are now into that period where they are selling the discounted tickets. We talked about this a lot because it was kind of a big deal when it happened in February, March, so now that they're bringing it back for the summer season, it's something that we really want to pay close attention to. I was not ready. I was not ready for the demand that happened in late winter, early spring. So we'll be watching. Those tickets went on sale on May 29th. The first day that you can start booking those reservations is June 10th, or the first date you could book is June 10th. So we're going to start seeing that on this calendar. However, as we look at this, that single day ticket calendar looks blissful, perfect. It is the most perfect single day calendar that you could possibly see. Nothing is booked, everything is wide open. You can walk in today, buy a ticket for either park, start there, and this is as clean as it could possibly look. This is consistent though with what we saw last June, 2023. A lot of this has to do with the fact that there are Magic Keys being blocked out right now, which we'll get into in a minute. But that's a pretty nice calendar. That's a pretty nice looking calendar. I don't know, how that's going to reflect when we get into the park. But as I often say, when I see this calendar, it means Disney wants more people in the park. Let's see if they want any more people based on the Magic Key calendar. Yes. Just pull it up. Yes. I can also, as a Magic Key holder, as an Inspire Key holder, I can walk in right now. I can just decide to come to Disneyland on the 7th. I could just, the 8th is Saturday. Tomorrow is actually open for a DCA start. Sunday is wide open. Both Saturday and Sunday next week is wide open. The first sold out dates we see on this June calendar are for the 19th and the 22nd, which is kind of shocking in a sense, because we haven't seen a lot of that in the months leading up to this report. It is typically the case that all the weekends are gone already for this entire month and into July. As a matter of fact, let's take a quick peek at July. The only date that's booked up in July right now is the 4th of July, which makes sense. People are just grabbing that. They may or may not show up, but they're grabbing it just in case they want to go. So that's the kind of date that you want to, try to go on July 4th, by the way. I'll say that now. Don't give up. Just because it says sold out here, that doesn't mean anything. My guess is it's going to be wide open when that date comes. But let's go back to July or June. I said kind of, shocking. This is actually very similar to the calendar that we saw last June. We saw a lot of, we could get a reservation for same day last June as well. So while it is shocking compared to what we've been seeing of late, it is consistent with what we saw last year, and it does make me wonder. I am curious what Disney's response is going to be to that, to June, when people start booking those single day tickets. In fact, as I think about it now, they should know already. They should know already, because those tickets have been on sale for a while now. 10 days, about, something like that. So people have had plenty of time to make reservations, enough time for Disney to react and start locking days up on the Magic Key calendar in order to preserve those for single day tickets. I say that casually, like it's standard business. Understand that what I just said is diabolical on Disney's parts. What I just said shouldn't be even permitted. It shouldn't even be allowed, but that is exactly what they do. They will pretend that a date is booked out so that they can sell more single day tickets to stop Magic Keys from booking those dates so they can sell more single day tickets. And then they decide, okay, we're not selling enough single day tickets, let's open that date back up for Magic Keys. I hope I've said this enough. I hope I've been making that clear enough over the past year or so. But I just realized the nonchalance with which I just described that scenario is starting to affect me. We're just taking this as if it's just normal now. Crazy. Let's get back into the park. Did I mention yet how beautiful the day is right now? And how awesome these balloons are right here? Let's just pass those on the left. It is gorgeous. It's actually gotten a little bit, it's like 1 degree toastier than it was when I first started walking down Main Street. But it is a beautiful, beautiful day. And I have to say that one of my favorite things about coming to Disneyland that I, just experienced walking down Main Street those 2 trips is the feeling that in spite of everything, people are still just happy to be here. And I that's one of my favorite qualities of these Disneyland crowds is the resilience that we all have and the love of the park that we all have in spite of, whatever things might be going on, either with the park, with the company, or personally, or whatever. You just come to Disneyland, man, everything's okay. Everything is okay. Everything's fine. It's all good. It's all good. Oh man, I can't wait. Let's go. Let's go to Adventureland and get this show started. Let's check in on how the crowds are going. We're going to do the whole park as we always do, every land and every attraction, starting in Adventureland. We're being brought in by the drum beat of the Tiki Room pre-show right now. So as I mentioned, the expectation is for this day to be something like what we've seen in previous weeks and what we saw last week at DCA, the calm before the storm, as it were. You know, because the people are holding back and waiting, possibly for those discounted days to come available. But I'm prepared for it to be busy. I'm ready for it if that's what happens. It wouldn't shock me, just considering what we've seen so far. But so far, you know, what we have seen today is pretty blissful. I was here this morning doing construction, but I was here earlier than usual, so I don't really have a feel for how the park is now. I was, you know, doing the construction recon in the very early part of the morning. Let's start at the Jungle Cruise, where we have a 30-minute standby and the most normal of looking queues that you'll ever see here at the Jungle Cruise. Nothing out front. Top floor is booked, you know, and the top floor up there in that area as well here, but nothing going on in the rear portion. That is pretty standard. That's pretty much how you'll find the Jungle Cruise on most days. Also standard for Adventureland and for Indiana Jones is that it's closed. Although we haven't really been seeing that when we do our State of Disneyland reports. It's often the case when we do our construction reports we find this, but Indiana Jones is closed right now. So that always draws a crowd of people like wondering, how long is this going to be down? The answer is, I don't know. I have no idea. Could be half an hour, could be 15 minutes. There isn't a typical reset duration for Indiana Jones like there is for, let's say, Rise of the Resistance, where it's almost always like an hour. Radiator Springs Racers is kind of up and down a little bit, but they're actually short. Their reset periods are pretty short, to the point where you could probably stay in the queue. Indiana Jones, if that ride goes down, you just go ahead and get out. I would say that. So it's going to be longer than a few minutes. So there you go. We've done 2 attractions already. I guess we're going to go into New Orleans Square now. We'll look in on Pirates of the Caribbean. There's a little bit of that intensity I was expecting or hoping to see. We got a switch back here at Pirates on the Bridge. Let's actually look inside the Pirates queue down here to check in on Lightning Lane, which is not too bad. I've certainly seen it worse. I've seen it running, you know, stuck in all of these areas, although part of that could be the fact that recently, but not too recent, it's been a month or 2 at least, I'd say, they've been sending Lightning Lane back to the side of the building over there where they used to run standby. They're sending Lightning Lane down there now, so it's actually considerably longer than it looks. It's not as intimidating. You come by here and you see a bunch of Lightning Lanes in here and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a disaster for standby. That is because they're all over there now. So actually that's not a particularly good Lightning Lane queue now, as I realize it. But the good news is that standby, oh, I take that back. That's Lightning Lane, it's moving. How's standby doing? Not exactly brisk. No. That's not bad. I'm going to call this 40 minutes right now. If we go down and make that left there at the bottom of the hill, we'll check in on the wait time. I'm going to predict 40 minutes. Okay, so this is one of those situations I've talked about before about if you're trying to gauge density, how hard is it to walk in a straight line? That was a little bit difficult getting down there just now. I was wrong. That says they're calling this 30 minutes, really? I mean, I guess it could be, because it's not running into New Orleans Square proper. It's not running towards Tiana's Palace. It is just the bridge. Ah, man, you know, it's probably 15 minutes from the threshold to get to your boat, 15 minutes from there, so maybe another 50. Yeah, okay, I'll give that 30 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes in this switchback and the bridge up there, and it does seem to be moving okay. So, I mean, as Pirates queues go, it's not my favorite, but I'd still get in that queue for sure. I'll get in any queue, really, that doesn't go out into New Orleans Square. Let's keep going into New Orleans Square. It is now 2:03. We're heading towards Tiana's Palace. I just want to pop in there real quick to see what standby looks like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Looks like it is still a bit difficult to find a table out there in the common areas. But as I suspected, it is a breeze. Don't bother with mobile order at Tiana's Palace. You can just, there's 2 people on that side, 4 people on that side. The food is waiting for you. It's ready. Maybe ask them to prepare a beignet for you, filled with that yummy lemon filling right there. There you go, right there. I'm now jonesing for some Tiana's Palace, but yeah, no problem. Easy, not even a 5-minute wait to get your food in here right now. Oh, and there are a few tables right here, right down the middle, so it's not too bad. Now, I mentioned at the outset of the show, or near the outset, that people are happy to be here in spite of things that are happening around the parks and etc. One of the things I was alluding to was all the closures that have recently been reported. We're talking about entertainment. Doctor Strange is the headline of that. They canceled the Doctor Strange show. Its last show is coming up at the end of the month. The live entertainment at Club Pixar, which is the other side of the park again. Well, but it is relevant to this conversation. But also the Golden Horseshoe. No more piano player there. No live entertainment at all at the Golden Horseshoe, which I don't mind saying is an absolute travesty and a crime against nature and a sin against this park. It is unforgivable not to have live show at Golden Horseshoe, considering what it means to the history of this park. And I sure hope that they remedy that situation in the near future. I don't know what plans they have, but they certainly haven't made anything known to the public. But Disney, you need to fix that situation, Golden Horseshoe. But another one of those, a small little change to the schedule is happening, well, I should say to the availability to the park, is happening right here at Tom Sawyer's Island. You may have seen us talk about this on our construction report, but as you can see right now, let me zoom in. The front part of the Tom Sawyer Island is closed. You cannot access, guests can still go to the island, but you cannot access the front part of the island. You can see no stanchions, no ropes, no railing of any kind. They took everything down because they're not planning to open that up anytime soon. Why that is, we can only guess, but I feel like it would be silly not to believe anything other than the fact that it's about saving money and it's about man hours. And I don't know what hours they lose here at the island, but you can bet that if they're not letting something open to the guests, it's either safety, which I don't think this is, or it has to do with staffing, man hours, and they don't want to. They want to save a little money. What that could be there, I'm not sure. But the fact that they took all the stanchions down and everything suggests to me that this is not a temporary situation. It's not a safety issue. It is the latter, or the former, I should say. It is a staffing issue, because if it were safety, they would fix whatever's the problem and then open it back up again. They wouldn't feel the need to take down those stanchions. I'm just being an amateur sleuth here, but that's what it feels like to me, that they're trying to save on man hours there. I don't like that either, not one bit. I love that front part of the island. I think it's great. I love going over there. It's the best part of the island, in my opinion. And once more, I feel like that is just, it's not okay. It's just not okay. This is okay though. I don't mind this one bit. I don't mind standing here at the Rivers of America watching the Mark Twain go by. Got to enjoy my ride on that earlier this morning. Actually got to enjoy that with Adam the Woo. He's here in the park with me this morning while I was shooting my construction recon. Hi guys. I got ourselves some looks of Haunted Mansion. If you haven't watched our construction report, then I suggest you do, because we have some news, some information to share with you about the Haunted Mansion as well. Yeah, man, Mark Twain, wonderful. That's like the chillest, zenith thing right there for me. I love when I'm done shooting my construction reports, because I stop right here, or I should say at Tiana's. I'm done with my construction shoot there. I come around and I come to the back of the boat and just watch the paddle wheel go by. Maybe go down to the middle deck and just chill out there and watch the scenery go by. But that paddle wheel, That makes me happy. Meanwhile, Haunted Mansion, as I alluded to just a minute ago actually, things are not going terrifically out here in the exterior construction, but things aren't so bad on the inside of the attraction. That rumor about them trying to open this attraction before the queue is done is gaining steam. So there's a possibility that we might at least get the ride back in time for Halloween, or maybe even before that. News also broke since our last State of Disneyland report that they're going to be closing that whole trail. All the Hungry Bear and the trail that leads to Galaxy's Edge, all that's going to be closing. And when we talked about that in the construction report last week, I thought they might put the wall up somewhere by the fruit cart, but I'm thinking maybe right here might be the place for them to put that wall up, because at this point there's nothing left for anybody. You can't go to Critter Country and you can't go to Galaxy's Edge. Why allow people to go all the way down there just to have them come back? So I feel like there's a reasonable chance that the construction wall that they put up here will be at the end of the Harbor Galley, because this will stay open. Harbor Galley will stay open, so you put the wall right here. So July 8th is the date for that. At that point, this will be the most catastrophic thing that'll ever happen to the Disneyland Resort. I mean, it's not for a long stretch. It's not as bad time-wise as the issues that they had with Galaxy's Edge, where they enclosed the entire rivers of America for like a year. You know, they had walls up and everything. They drained the river, and they basically recut the island. They chopped off the top of the island over here so that they could bring in the back of the river, bring it forward a little bit, so the river's a little shorter than it used to be, so that they could extend the Galaxy's Edge perimeter. I had a hard time with that one, because I was no train, no Mark Twain, no Columbia, no Rivers of America for about a year, if memory serves. And right now, I'm just casually walking by Critter Country, and it makes me kind of sad that I can't go in there either. This report marches on down the Hungry Bear Trail. We'll be able to see what's going on here a little bit, I guess. Well, I suppose there really isn't anything to observe here. They're not going to be doing any construction here, so I don't know what we'll be able to see. I'm talking about, you know, from the Mark Twain when it goes by. We'll still be able to see the trail, but there won't be anything to observe.
Just ahead is the most treacherous part of our journey. That island off the starboard side often hides the scourge of the seas, and the gunner's aim be a might pool. Be ready to fire one!
You know, I talk a lot about how we endure no matter what's happening here in the park. I always feel like I'm happy here. That it would take, I don't know what it would take to get me to not want to come to Disneyland. But I just, watching that Columbia go by and the Mark Twain before that, thinking about the river and the canoes and all that, and I thought, gosh, if they did, for some reason, try to, you know, shore up the rivers of America, get rid of it, make more, turn it into concrete, turn it into park, per se, destroy the island and all that, I think at that point, that might be the point where I turn in my gun and my badge, and I quit the force, as it were. I don't think I could sustain that. I really don't. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I'm just saying. I'm thinking about what is my line. What line would they cross that would cause me to do that? Not a reality we have to deal with today. Thank goodness. That is not a reality that I'd want to deal with right now. That is the back of the queue for Rise of the Resistance out here in Section 4. This is a no-go. I don't even have to do the rest. I don't even have to look, add anything up, do any kind of math, check the tip board, or check the Lightning Lane queue. If I see a queue in Section 4, I'm out. I just wipe my hands clean of it, and so I'm not even going to try. There are no bargains in Section 4. You are in for an hour minimum, and you can just come back later, and it'll be better, I promise. I promise. But that is a sign, though, that things are a little bit busy, because when's the last time we saw Rise at Section 4 during one of these State of Disneyland reports? I am still curious to see what the wait time says. Let's keep checking. Okay, 95. It says 95 up there. 95. And oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my goodness. That crew out there in that standby queue is screwed. The back of the Lightning Lane queue is out past the threshold. I came into the queue a little bit to look at this. The back of the Lightning Lane queue is out there. 2 weeks ago we were here, it was empty. This was empty, and that's how it normally is. Okay, this is terrible. Oh my gosh. It's not even good for the Lightning Lane crew. That's still probably gotta be well, no, that's still not too bad. They're gonna get handled. But these guys, they're parked. I could go over there and park a camera right now and watch nobody move for the next 10 minutes. They will put every single one of those Lightning Lane guests into the Ray Room, every single one, before they even put a handful of standby guests in there. I actually am gonna go watch this for a minute. That was brutal. I don't know for sure how long I sat there and filmed that. I had to stop. I started filming once with my phone. I had to stop because it overheated. Then I kicked it off again with my Pocket 3. I would say we were there for a total of maybe 6 or 7 minutes, I would say, doing time lapse there, and they barely moved. I stopped recording at the end there because they grew the queue. The movement that you saw at the end was them creating more queue. So everybody filled in that empty space, but the queue wasn't actually moving. Wow, that is just brutal. And that was, I want to say 6 or 7 minutes, and they hardly moved. Maybe one body, I think. Maybe 1 or 2 people moved, and that was it. That was gnarly. By the way, to further illustrate the point that I was making about how every single one of those single Lightning Lane guests would get processed before anybody moved, in that 7 or 8 minutes, they did exactly that. This queue, which was full to the point where it was sticking out of the threshold there, this was completely full 7 or 8 minutes ago, and is now completely empty, except for the guests that are just strolling in now, and obviously they'll get to go. So that's what I'm talking about. If you're in Lightning Lane, don't stress, don't sweat if you see a super huge queue. Just get in it and you'll be fine. You're certainly gonna do better than people in standby. But that could also be a bit of small comfort for standby guests, because it only took 7 or 8 minutes to clear that queue. Now, if it stays that way, if you don't get another backlog, they're going to be fine. This is the one I'm talking about doing the opposite. We just put out a video today. We just published a video today about looking for opportunities. This is one of those. That they're going to spike that queue up. It might actually go up to 120 perhaps, or maybe 110 or something like that as a result of what just happened. But the reality is that it's not that bad now. It's going to start moving much more swiftly, and you're going to see standbys start to shrink. If they keep that queue at 95, or if it even grows a little bit, while there's no Lightning Lane getting in the queue, people are going to stay away for a while, for a good 10 or 15 minutes, and in that time, that queue is going to compress. So if you see that, if you see 95 minutes, if you see a huge Lightning Lane queue, go do something else, come back a half an hour later, and you're going to find yourself in a much more advantageous position. It works almost every time. Which is a great moment, as we discussed that, to partake in our usual tradition of heading through the marketplace here at Galaxy's Edge, stopping off at Docking Bay 7, taking a look at the tip board. We're gonna, obviously look at the rest of the tip board, but also pay attention to what happens there at Rise. If you're a guest who has observed that situation and you're trying to advantageously take advantage of that 95-minute queue, what you're hoping for, by the time we look at the tip board here in a few minutes, what you're hoping for is for it to stay at 95. You don't want it to go down. You want it to stay at 95 in spite of the fact that the queue is obviously going to start repairing itself. If they drop it down, then that means they're reacting on time, which you don't want actually, as somebody trying to take advantage of a situation like that. All right. Alice in Wonderland, 35 minutes, which is pretty standard. Astral Orbiter, 25 minutes, standard. Autopia, 25 minutes. That's healthy-ish, but standard if it's a busy day. And looking at a return time of 1 hour and 20 minutes. Look at that, there you go. Big Thunder, 65 minutes. That is more than standard. I would say the standard for Big Thunder is about 45. 60 is the threshold where people start saying, I'm not getting in that queue. So 65 is considerably longer than what would be standard. Return time in almost 2.5 hours. Buzz Lightyear, 25. Standard return time at half an hour. Casey Jr., 15. Still running just one train. Gadgets Coaster, 15. That's actually light for as busy as it is today. Dumbo, 15. Light, considering how busy it is today. I'd be willing to bet that we don't see a 15-minute queue when we get there, considering what we've seen so far. Same for Finding Nemo. I mean, unless people are hitting just the key attractions, and that's it. Like Indiana Jones Adventure, 60. Standard for Indiana Jones. Return time of 7 hours. Also standard for a busy day. Look at that. Look at the disparity there. At some point, you just have to say, why don't we go on Small World at 5 minutes? At some point, you have to say that, right? I would rather go on Small World in 5 minutes than spend an hour in the Indiana Jones queue. Even though Indiana Jones is great. Small World is history. Do it. 15 minutes for Jungle Cruise, also history. That's a very pleasant... Wait, okay, just jump to 20. Hey, let's go back. I want to see if anything changed here. Dumbo. Okay, so everything else is still the same. But Jungle Cruise went up to 20. Okay, Matterhorn, 45. That's light for Matterhorn. I'm kind of surprised. That's a decent queue to get into. Although, guess what, guys? It's 3 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock. The parade should be happening here any minute. So people are out. That's one of those areas where, that's one of those what I call parade-adjacent attractions. You feel the most effect of the parade at a ride like the Matterhorn. Small World is another one of those. That's probably why that's 5 minutes. But Jungle Cruise is not parade-adjacent. So I would expect it to go up. Plus, you've got a return time there of 11:20. We are almost sold out of Matterhorn. So it is, I think we could certify this as a busy day today at this point. Runaway Railway, 30 minutes, not parade adjacent. So it's light at 30 with a return time in 3 hours, which is kind of surprising. Smugglers Run, 50 minutes. That's standard for a busy day with a return time of an hour. That's one of those that has Millennium Falcon has a very wide range. It's very elastic, that queue. Peter Pan is not elastic. It is always between 30 and 45 minutes, but that's still light. I would get in a 30-minute queue for Peter Pan. Pinocchio, 10. Pirates, 30. I think that's where we left it. Before, hour and a half return time. Roger Rabbit is near an hour. That's so wild. It's near an hour, but the return time is just a half an hour. I have a thought on why you see some rides at a return time of 8 hours and some now, even though they are by all appearances, both attractions that are very popular. I'll talk about that when we finish this. Space Mountain, 60 minutes, return time of 6 hours. That is standard for a busy day. Star Tours, 45 with return time of half an hour. There's Rise. Okay, so what? Oh my God. That's bad news for those. That's the opposite of what you're hoping for if you're trying to take advantage of a big queue at Rise. You're hoping that it stays at 95. Instead, they dropped it down to 60. So probably what happened is that 95 was a reaction by cast seeing that the Lightning Lane was beefed up, so the 95 had already been adjusted. And now they're adjusting it back down once they cleared it. Unfortunate, but still 60 is better than 95 if you're just getting in. Let's see, and I think, okay, Storybook Land, 5 minutes? No way, I don't believe you. And that's it. All right, let's see. We're gonna get into Millennium Falcon here real quick before I start talking about that tip board again. We saw 50-minute standby. It should be the same. Wait, okay, so super confusing. How is it that the app could be so far wrong? It was just a few minutes ago. It was just a few minutes ago that we were looking at the tip board and it said 50, and now it's saying 15. Is that right? I have to double check. Yeah, man, I just double checked. 50. 50. That was not even 5 minutes ago. How is that even possible? How did they go from 50 to 15? I understand them dropping it down to 40 or 30, but this is how inaccurate the tip board can be. This is how slow to react Disney can be to what's happening on the ground in reality. It's why I was so shocked that they were able to go from 95 to 60 over at Rise of the Resistance, because that's not a thing that you normally find. Normally it takes them longer to react. What could have happened in 5 minutes? Nothing. Nothing could have happened in 5 minutes. Nothing new, nothing changed. They just caught up. They realized far too late that they left that 50 up there for too long, and they adjusted it back down to 15. The actual time, it should have been 15 when we were looking at the tip board just a few minutes ago. It's so... This is why I... Look for extremes, man, look for extremes. If you see something that shouldn't be there, unfortunately, this is not the kind of attraction where I could have looked at the back of the queue and said, oh gosh, no, that doesn't look like it, because you can't see the queue. One of the benefits for Disney, I guess, of obscuring the queue at these big buildings is you can't really tell, you can't really say, okay, that's wrong. You just have to take their word for it. But if I had walked into that queue and looked all around for myself, I would have been able to tell. I can't walk all the way in there and then come back out. Or can I? You know what? We did this last week at DCA, because I would always skip looking at Radiator Springs Racers because I didn't want to walk into the queue, but gosh darn it, I'm going to do it. I want to see. We can at least go into the first part will be when we enter the interior queue, just to look at what's happening in the rest of the space. It should only take a few minutes, but I just have to reverse course. I mean, I do this whenever I go to Forbidden Journey at Universal, so it's not a big deal, right? I'm just yammering now. There's nobody here.
Okay, the good news.
Obviously no guests here either.
The bad news, if there had been any leakage, those sparks would have blown up, although not been transferred.
It's a shame, because this is a badass queue, man. Okay, I think all of this obviously is not being used, which is good. I think that's the back of the queue down there where that threshold is. That's the back of the queue. You've got to go, you run along, through the windows, look down on the Millennium Falcon, and then you make a U-turn and come back. You make that hairpin turn, and you're at the Hondo room. So that it might be from here, it might be 15 minutes to the Hondo room if there's not a lot of influence from Lightning Lane.
We went on that trip. It was just like we were in the fucking space.
I'm kind of shocked that more people aren't getting in the queue right now. Like 15 minutes is a call to action. I should be seeing a bunch of guests coming in here.
What? Well, I have to plan my vacation days, and I can't decide where to go.
Gar, we don't get
A few, but not hardly any, really.
I always wanted to check.
That is an attraction begging for some serious recon, man. I just realized going in there, like, I don't know near enough about Smugglers Run to be able to guess the queue, you know, the actual wait time, that's begging for some recon. So why, as we exit Galaxy's Edge and make our way to Fantasyland, why, getting back to that tip board, do we see some attractions with a return time of 8 hours, 9 hours, and some with a return time of 30 minutes, or now, it's not like they're individually sold. It's not like they sell just Space Mountain or just Indiana Jones Lightning Lanes. You buy Indiana Jones, you're buying one for everything. So why is there such a disparity? The reality is, and this is exactly what Disney wants, the reality is that people buy the whole package, but they only use 3 or 4. They're not here to use the whole set of Lightning Lanes. They are entitled to them, but it's often the case that people buy Genie Plus and use it just for Indiana Jones, Space Mountain, Big Thunder, or maybe one other one, but they're not here all day trying to knock out every single attraction. So even though you're entitled to use it for Autopia or Buzz Lightyear, or name it, you know, what other Lightning Lane attraction there might be, it is often the case where people who buy Genie Plus just never use the Lightning Lane for those attractions. And for Disney, that's a win. And that's probably why they'll never get rid of paid Genie Plus, is for that reason, because they're selling a product that never actually gets used. It's air. It's complete air and never gets used. It's pure profit. You know, saying that stuff out loud probably is going to ruin a few days, ruin a few people's moods. You don't like hearing that out loud. I don't like saying that stuff out loud. I don't like admitting that Genie Plus is probably going to be here forever. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like Genie Plus, but I understand the math. I understand the reason, you know, logic they do it. You know, it doesn't bother me that Genie Plus gets that access. That if you paid $20, $25, you should get to the front of the line. If you have a fast pass, you should get to use it. That doesn't bother me. The access doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I feel like it would. If they didn't, I would be upset for the people who did pay. If they didn't rush all those people through on Lightning Lane at Rise of Resistance, I would be upset as a consumer because they paid for something. They paid for air, but they paid for it. But like a lot of you, I'm sure, what I would prefer, what I wish for, but again, I don't think it's going to happen, is just something that's a little more democratic. I miss like the free option, like they had with Fast Pass. You know, I don't mind putting in the work. I don't mind running all the way to Space Mountain to get my Space Mountain Fast Pass. It's kind of part of the, you know what I mean? We think back on that fondly now. I think back on those days of running to the kiosk from, you know, you're at Big Thunder, like, I want to get a fast, let's get one right now. We got to get one right now. So you run over there to get one. I miss those days. But it's never gonna happen, man. There's no way they go back. There's no way they go from a digital solution to an analog one. Just no chance. No chance. Which brings us to Fantasyland. Which is nice because I need this, I love this sort of mental break that Fantasyland gives me. I know it's often bonkers here and the crowds can be really intense, but I love the mood that Fantasyland sets. It's just delightful. I am seeing what looks like a dead queue, although there are, oh my gosh, look at Casey Jr. That's an open queue. There's like 10 people in that queue. I cannot process that. And there is a train. If this train's here, if they were running 2 trains, there would be another train crossing the quilt over there, which there very clearly is not. There is definitely not a second train. And the result is a very brief Casey Jr. queue. I think that's all of it. They're gonna get everybody on this train, I think, or close to it. All but 3 guests. Wow. By the way, yes, it looks like I am getting on this train or on the next train because it's been a little while since I've been on Casey Jr. and it's like a tractor beam of cuteness that's pulling me in right now. Look at that Casey up there. Cute. Storybook didn't look too bad, nor the teacups. Talk about Disneyland curing. That was perfect, man. And there's just one train. People sleep on Casey Jr., man. Don't sleep on Casey Jr. That's pure magic. That's pure Disneyland. Back to work. Check out the scene here at Fantasyland. We got a glimpse of the teacups in Storybook Land. They didn't look too bad, but we'll get a good look at them here in a minute. But Pinocchio, 10 minutes probably. Not even poking out of the threshold there. I mean, even over here is not too bad. Even if you're out there, that's still not bad.
And then we could go to Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. Snow White is doing business. Here we go. That's 25. It says 15, but it's not. They need to update that because this is clearly 15 would be perhaps to that queue part along the wall there. If you know, this section right there. It takes about 10 minutes to do everything that's in the shaded covered area. That's about 10 minutes in there. So. No way that's 5 minutes out here. You're looking at 25, maybe. That's the longest queue we've seen here at Snow White in quite a while. Meanwhile, across the way, this is what I'm normally expecting to see when I look at Peter Pan, is this kind of queue. With the last few trips through here, I've just been shocked by how light Peter Pan was looking. We saw 30 on the tip board. They're not using this over here, though, so that's a little something. That's something to look out for. When you're checking out Peter Pan, you can do little sections like that, which areas are being used, which are not. Do a little math. We'll have to come up with some formulas on that. It still says 30 minutes up here on the posted wait time, but I don't think that's accurate. I mean, it could be. There's no lightning lane. It moves kind of brisk, but it's, I don't know. Hey, hi guys, how are you? But we're looking at more like 35 or 40 probably. Actually, no, I take that back. Now I didn't even realize this is not full either. It could be 30. That could be a straight 30. But the walkways here is certainly more dense than we've seen in recent trips. Not a lot, fractionally so. It's a little more busy. Really looking forward to the next State of Disneyland report when we come through here after June 10th. Toads, I mean, I'm saying this every time. There's never a bad time to get in Toads. That's fine. Get into that. That's 10 or 15 minutes. Hey, how are you? I promised that we're going to do a little recon on Dumbo to confirm if it was supposed to be. It said 15 minutes on the tip board. Is that still the case? It's now posted at 25. I would show you, but you can't see anything through the lens anyway. It looks kind of dense back there, but once more, they're not using any of this rear queue back here. It's such a trip. Like, even on a busy day, this is not doing what it should be doing or what it normally would do. People are focusing on the marquee e-tickets today, and they're ignoring rides like Dumbo and Casey Jr. I feel like we need new people watching our show to learn, to become more accustomed to, oh, hey guys, hi! To become more accustomed to doing attractions like Dumbo and Casey Jr. instead of focusing always on Matterhorn, Indiana Jones, and Space Mountain. There's a whole lot more to Disneyland, man. There is a whole lot more. And so much of it is just great. It's great. Get out Casey Jr. It's there waiting for you. By the way, it is 3:43, so the parade is over. People should be getting back into queues, or they should have already been getting back into queues. Parade is over. Let's make that right turn, check in on Alice. Mad Tea Party, by the way, is very agreeable. That's maybe 2 rotations right there. It'll be, yeah, when this one's done, they'll get 1 group in. So yeah, that's 2 rotations. You'd be second. This is a deep queue for Alice though. We saw 40, I think, 35 or 40 on the tip board. That's about right, though I've definitely seen it worse recently.
Where's it at?
Posted at 25. I was wrong. You know what it is? 35 or 40 is when you start getting out here and they start running it around the mushroom. That could be 25. This is actually a pretty brisk moving queue, constantly moving. I like this one for that. So it could be 25. That's another attraction where I need to measure blocks and figure out, do a little queue math. We're working on that. Storybook Land. We saw that looked pretty agreeable from Casey Jr. And golly, look at that. I didn't believe it when I saw the tip board, but that is all kinds of empty space in that queue. And I don't know if she's growing it or shrinking it right now. I think she's shrinking it. There's not, I mean, that's 15 minutes maybe. Pretty sure I have said this before, but Fantasyland is very interesting as part of the Disneyland ecosystem in that it's almost always just the same. It's always very near to its usual state. It doesn't get grossly affected by very busy days, but on slow days it still does good business. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's minimal lightning lane. I think, what is there? Matterhorn. Matterhorn and Take Care. And that's Matterhorn. That's its own thing. Matterhorn doesn't belong to any land. Matterhorn is Matterhorn land. Oh, it's Small World. I forgot. Yeah, that's a lightning lane attraction. But so it doesn't get affected by the vagrancies of, you know, the pulses, the ups and downs of a Disneyland day. It's just is what it is, almost always. Toontown is next. One of my favorite parts of the journey is transitioning underneath this tunnel and getting to hear that music loop. Hey, as we approach the land, always puts a smile on my face. There's so many things that put a smile on my face when I go to Disneyland. I don't remember where I heard it, but it said that people who hum and whistle are generally more happy than the average person who doesn't hum or whistle. That's why I love that. Makes me happy. And it's why I can keep coming to these parks in spite of any negativity. But that queue right there is not a positive. I can't even go in and see where the back of the queue is because it's out here. Not good. Generally speaking, I would say just don't bother getting into any standby. I mean, unless you're here, this is like the one time you're going to get to Toontown and you know you don't want to leave and come back later or something. It's posted at 55, which it is all of that for sure. But I don't like seeing the queue out here, back here. I don't like that at all. Not one bit. We'll hang a left. And I expect we'll find something very similar next door at Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. Ah, man, that music is so good. Posted at 45. Let's go take a look. This is a case where we can find the back of the queue. Lightning Lane is just five or six guests there. So that's not bad. You might get a break here. Oh dear. It's getting worse and worse. 2 weeks ago, it was about where the cage was, but we got around the corner at least. Oh, I can't even get around the corner. I can't get past Detective Jessica. That's not good. That's not good at all. That's going to be a difficult task to get through that queue without losing your mind. Meanwhile, summer's approaching, the temperatures are rising a little bit, so these fountains are certainly going to be a popular place for kids here at Toontown for sure. And Toontown is going to pop this summer. I have a very good feeling about that. It's been open about a year now, right? Oh dear. Oh dear. Whew. That's double the queue that we saw in our last report. Wow. It's gotta be 45, right? That says 30? No way. It said 30 last time. There's no way. It is double the queue. That says 32. Oh, maybe, you know what it is? I feel like when they have many out here at the outdoor tea party, that the queue is much more efficient in there. People just, they go right through. Ish. I feel like this is the ideal setup. I don't know why they go back and forth, but having many out there at the tea party is ideal. Maybe that's why it's a lower wait time than it looks. Trying to get over here to gadgets, which is posted at 45. Show of hands. Who would wait 45 minutes for gadgets? I love gadgets. I do. I love gadgets, but I'm not sure if I would wait 45 minutes. But it's not 45 though. 45, it would be where I'm standing. The queue would be where I'm standing right now. It's 30 maybe. Back of the queue is around that corner on the other side of Chippendale. I mean, that's hardly anything. You're going past the toothbrush, around that corner there, you make the U-turn, go up that hill, then back again this way. That's maybe 30 minutes, even with just running the one train. 45 minutes, and again, this is begging for some recon, but I would guess 45 minutes to be at least right about here. We'll exit and take the Toontown test. Can I walk in a straight line today? Oh, that was a little dodge left. That's a little dodge right. Not exactly a straight line. It wasn't too difficult, but not exactly a straight line. Curious why they have these ropes up. Parade is long over. They seem to be sequestering areas here. Curious. Anyway, Small World. 10 minutes. Fresh baked. I have nothing to say here other than go on Small World. Please. Please occupy this space. Please go on this attraction. Not only is it delightful and easy to get on, it's also historic. Go on Small World. Enjoy yourself. The song isn't that bad. Get over it. I like the song. Yeah, you hear that? That's great. That's great. Look at majestic Matterhorn Mountain across the skyline here. If the gods were cool, they would send a monorail this way, but I don't think it's going to happen. We saw a very interesting 45-minute standby on the tip board. This looks kind of light actually right here. Hey, how's it going? This doesn't look too bad right here. I feel like a very light presence of guests. But my spidey senses were 100% incorrect on this. Well, at least according to the tip board or the waste time is, which says 65 minutes right there. I will question that. I'm gonna say that's probably not accurate. I'm gonna say it's probably not 65 minutes. We have 5 people in the standby or the lightning lane queue right here. Meanwhile, nobody in this section of the queue right here. That's a dead giveaway right there. That is a dead giveaway. Now, if it's not around the corner, then you're looking at 30 minutes. You're looking at 30. This is one of those extremes that I was talking about in the tip video that we just put out. This is one of those extreme situations. That queue is hella wrong. It's going around the corner a little. No, man. I mean, yeah, it's beyond that area back there. It's around the corner a little bit, but this is still not bad. That's a 40-minute queue. 30 or 40 minutes is my guess. I wish I had time to get in that. I would love to right now. Are they growing it or shrinking it? They are shrinking it. Look at that. They're still shrinking it. When we were here just a few minutes ago, this is where they shrunk it to. They're standing by. They shrunk it another 2 switchbacks right here. Well, it took a couple minutes, but they did lower it now to 55. It's no longer 65. But that is what I like to call a go situation. We are a go. You guys notice blue? It's been a few weeks at least, but the wrap, they took the 100th logo off the wrap, but they left everything else on there. I love it. I think it looks great. I much prefer that one over Monorail Red with the Mickey on there. You know, no disrespect to Mickey, of course. So before we get into Tomorrowland and wrap this show up, one of the things that hit the news recently, along with those cancellations, was Disney canceling the sale of Magic Keys. Overnight, they turned the switch off. There was no warning, no like, we're gonna stop selling them on such and such date. They just, one day you could, and the next day you couldn't. So naturally the question is why? And I've been beside myself trying to figure it out. There's a strategy at work there that I can't fathom. I officially have no idea what they're doing with respect to Magic Keys. You know, what is the trigger for them to turn them off, turn them on, what's going on? You know, there's a few ideas out there. Probably the one that makes the most sense is that this action is being done in conjunction with the sale, the discounted ticket, the $50 kids ticket, the $83. You know, we've been talking about this for weeks. That the idea, the theory is that they don't want people to be upgrading. They don't want a whole bunch of people upgrading those discounted tickets to annual passes, which makes sense, except that I feel like you still have to pay the full price for the pass. It's not like you're getting a discount on the pass if you do that. Let's say you did, your ticket is $50. You're going to have to come up with the rest of that. What the idea is, it doesn't apply. It doesn't translate. So maybe they're just trying to. I don't know. For that reason, that's why I kind of don't think that's it. I feel like it's more likely that they've got a new pass or program or some kind of change is coming to the annual pass program. What that could be, I don't know, if it's a new blackout calendar or a new price. Hey, how are you? They might be trying to raise the price or something, or maybe, I keep thinking they're going to come up with a new tier, a new level of Magic Key, one that doesn't have reservations perhaps, although that's kind of crazy. Now I say that out loud, I've been thinking that's an idea, but just I don't think that Disney is really interested in ending that, just like they're not interested in ending the Genie Plus system, so I need to just get over it. Let's get over the Tomorrowland. Looks like they're kicking a little butt over here at Galactic Grill. That's a fair amount of folks looking for some okay fish and chips, okay chicken tenders, and okay cheeseburgers. I've decided I don't like that new cheeseburger, the one that they brought out for Star Wars Season of the Force, which now looks to be part of the permanent menu. I've decided I don't like that one. This is a light queue for Nemo. What you're looking for on Nemo is anything that is just on that side of the planter here. You don't want to see anything out here in this section. If you can keep it at least on that side of the planter, you're probably pretty good. And also, obviously, you want to make sure that they're loading 2 boats. It takes just a minute to check. Posted wait time says 30 minutes. I see that queue and I see a posted wait time at 30 minutes, and I'm almost positive that they're not loading 2 boats. Let's check. And that is a negative, Ghost Rider. Pattern is full. 1 boat only. This queue is empty. It pays. So just walk in here for a minute. It takes about 30 seconds to see if there's anybody, if they're loading any guests here. If they're not, you probably don't want to be getting in this queue. Because, I mean, it could still be 30 minutes, but what's going to happen is you're going to park in this queue. You're going to be stopped in this queue for 5 minutes at a time, because it takes forever to get guests in and out of the boat. The cycle time on this And so while it may still be 30 minutes, it's going to be an annoying 30 minutes. I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's like, you know, we talked about attractions that go quick though. You know, Pirates was an attraction, no matter how long the queue was, it didn't matter. Because as long as it was constantly moving, you were good. Any non-Lightning Lane attraction is pretty much a go quick.
You don't want to take
though.
the stroller?
That's not a Lightning Lane attraction, but that is an annoying queue. Because I don't like it when I'm just standing there for 5 or 10 minutes and doing literally nothing. And I imagine most people will probably feel the same way. Autopia, powered by Honda. Looks like it's posted at 35 minutes right now, which looks about right. It looks like they're on the second riser, which isn't bad as far as this part of the queue goes, but they are using the rotunda back there, and that tends to go slow back there, I've noticed. Meanwhile, Lightning Lane, there is a decent lineup of Lightning Lane there. The only good thing that's happening right here is that they are using all 4 lanes. You want to try to be doing that as much as possible. You never want to get into a queue, at this time of day especially, or in a busy queue that you're seeing here, if they're running just two lanes. 3 is probably not too bad, but ideally you want all 4. Given this day, and given what I see there, I would probably call that a no-go. I'd probably come back and try this one a little later perhaps. There it is. The Tomorrowland Loop. Outstanding. Whew. Wow, look at Tomorrowland go. Space Mountain, posted at 60. That's standard. It's pretty much like that all the time. We won't go up there this week, but 60 minutes is about what I would expect. Actually, what I do want to do though is see how Alien Pizza Planet is doing. This dining location has no right being as busy as it is. Here's all these tables are full out here, although a lot of people are just chilling. They're not necessarily dining. Oh, they've got a cash wrap here. Is that for ordering? Is it a third one? I've never, that's new. Because they did take one out. They had one here forever, right there. But so they moved them over there, place your order, and then pick it up at one of these bays. Looks like it's a mobile order, which is dreadful. I hate that they have mobile order here still. This is like Rancho for me. It shouldn't have mobile, but they found a way to shoehorn it in here. But there are tables available, not too bad. A lot of tables. It's very rare, actually, that you see tables in this section. This is where most people congregate. Very rare that you see tables here. And it's what, 4:37. So it's about time for people to be eating. This is the time you want to be hitting your dining. Wow, wide open. This is the time I recommend trying to eat dinner. It's either 4:30 or maybe 7:30. Or if you're doing lunch, do lunch at 11:30. Don't do it at noon or 1 o'clock. That's when everybody else is going. You want to eat at Disneyland like you're a senior citizen. That's the way I put it. The senior citizens are known for having dinner at 4 o'clock, right? 4:30. That's what you should be doing at Disneyland. Have breakfast offsite. Don't even have your breakfast here. Eat lunch at 11 and have dinner at 4 or 4:30. And then maybe you have a second dinner at 8 o'clock if you're still hungry, if you're still going. But yeah, now's the time to be hitting dining locations right now. Like, I want that music to be the soundtrack of my life. Toontown and Tomorrowland, the soundtrack of my life. Depending on my mood, like Toontown during the day, Tomorrowland at night, maybe. Perfection. All right, guys, We're almost there. Oh, Star Tours looks a little busy over here. I haven't seen the posted wait time, but you see those doors open. That's not good. It depends on how full it is back there. They're not running a switchback out here. They're running just the one lane, so that's a good sign. It could be that they're just sending a few people in there. It's ish in there. I would bet this is a 25, 30-minute queue. It's moving, though. Nobody's using their lightning lane here at Star Tours. It says 45. 45. I don't know. I disagree. That is not a 45-minute queue, especially considering how quickly it's moving. You see that queue moving like that? They're not using the whole interior. I see just, now it's empty. I don't see anybody in there now. There's a couple guests right there. They're using maybe a fourth of that queue in there. That's 25 minutes, if that. Meanwhile, Buzz Lightyear is posted at 20, but that's not correct either, but in the other way. A lot of guests lining up over here for Lightning Lane. That's not good. You don't want to see that. And the queue is backed up beyond the threshold. There's the back of the queue right now for Lightning Lane. Then you've got standby just running all this length. This is, that's bad news. That's probably double that 20. That could be 40. If they're into Pixie Hollow, you're looking at probably 40 minutes. And I'll say again that the reason why both of those queues are so far off is because they're so slow to react. Okay, so at least they're not in Pixie Hollow. That's good. So maybe not double that, maybe 30, 35. I'd give that 30 or 35 minutes at least. The tip board is just so slow to react. And there's really, I mean, it's because their methods are so analog that's just the way it's going to be. As long as you're depending on people handing in those red cards, that's the way it's going to be. I don't know if they just, are sticking to that because it's old school and that's how they want to do it. I don't know. I don't know why they don't come up with a different, could be money. They just don't want to pay for the system. And it's fine, that's why we exist, is to help you guys out through those situations. Let's see how easy it is to cross through the hub right now. This is another one of those measuring sticks for me. It's a little dicey. I can't go left.
Yeah, you can still.
I can't go left. If I can go left, it ain't busy. I could have, but I would have had to dodge a bunch of folks taking pictures. But I went right in order to avoid that. That means it's at least a moderately busy day. That's your visual clue. And I will say that is where we're at. This is moderately busy. This is the busiest day we've seen today, probably in the past couple months. After you guys. As you were. Which brings us to Frontierland. It's made of wood. We saw Big Thunder, hey guys, at 65 minutes. When we checked the tip board, that was about an hour and a half ago, I think. 65? That's beyond the threshold. That's usually a point for me where I feel like guests start staying away, but oh, I was gonna say it's still 65 because I could see it. You couldn't see it, but I saw on the side of my eye it said 65, but then they just dropped it to 50. They just dropped it to 50, but that is a healthy queue out here. That is quite a busy queue here at Big Thunder. That could be all of that 50. I've gotten in this queue before. It wound up being less than the posted wait time. I want to say it was like 35, 40 minutes. But that could, I mean, it just depends really on Big Thunder always. Hi guys. But as long as it looks like that, you're in good shape. So that could be, you could beat 50 here. But that's still a queue that I don't think I want to get in on a normal basis. Yeah, it may not be 50, but it's no bargain either. If you save some time, it'll be in the 5 or 10 minute range, but nothing drastic, not a major savings. So as far as our original premise goes, I do feel like we are progressing towards Disney about ready to pop for the summer. In our last update, our last State of Disney report, we saw a micro progression in crowds. It wasn't bonkers or anything like that by any stretch, but it certainly was busier than we've been seeing. And the fact that the Fantasmic was happening, bringing more energy into the parks, I really liked how that felt. This week is the next level up from that. Next, in the next 2 weeks, we're going to have all those discounted tickets in the park. Fewer Magic Keys because Enchant and Imagine are blocked out. I feel like we're in for a pretty decent summer. I'm hoping so anyway. I want to see things get going. I want to see that so Disney stops, being cheap on a bunch of stuff, because it feels like that they're trying to save money in places that I would rather they not. I'd rather them try to save some money somewhere else. Bring back that live entertainment. It's going to take at least the summer before they start talking about bringing that stuff back. But I think we're going in the right direction. I think Disneyland is definitely, the state of Disneyland is getting more forward and a little bit more busy. We're on our way. And with that, while I have your attention, be sure to check out our last State of DCA report. We put that out last week. Check that out. Also, we just put out an 8-hack video, 8 expert tips to help you have a more efficient day here at Disneyland and to help you to become a hero of your traveling party at Disneyland. People are going to say, thank you, person who watched this Fresh Baked video. Thank you for doing such an amazing job in guiding us through the park today. Not me, you. It could be you. See you next time, guys. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. Fresh Baked.